Hello, this is Brooke.
Good morning, Brooke. This is Kelly Goggin, the head athletic trainer at University of Mount Union. How are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm here with the search committee. I have Rachel Cummings, our clinical education coordinator, Jack Haley, our grad assistant athletic trainer, as well as Isaiah Mast and Corey Delaney, two of our assistant athletic trainers. We were hoping we could ask you a few questions this morning.
Sounds good to me.
Alrighty, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I am a senior athletic training student. I'm from Erie, Pennsylvania. I got into this major. I was very curious about it throughout high school, mostly probably just getting hurt myself and then getting to spend time with my athletic trainer. But I've always been into like the medicine and anatomy things, so I think falling into AT was really easy for me. And then I'm just looking to continue learning, doing what I'm doing, but still being able to practice at the same time with it.
All right, good morning, Brooke. Tell me a little bit about your education and how it's prepared you for this profession.
Even my high school education started, there were a few classes my junior and senior year that were like science, sports science, nutrition, and it was a combination of three different things. And it was a 2-year course. And that gave me a foundation of things that I've worked on more at Mount Union, being in the exercise science minor, so learning about the nutrition or how the body metabolizes things, but I could build on what I had learned. And then in the athletic training major part of it, just all of the in classroom, but also the hands-on that they've given us to be able to go to all these different sites and work with a handful of different athletic trainers to learn their experiences, how they do things differently. That's given me so many things to pull from to make my own ways of doing things.
Good morning, Brooke. Could you tell me how others would describe you?
I think others would describe me as shy until you meet me, and like until you get to know me, but then outgoing after that. And a lot of people would hopefully say that I'm a hard worker and try to get things done as best I can with time management, or putting in different hours, different times to get in to do things. I would hope people would see that.
Brooke, tell me what you consider your areas of strength within athletic training.
I think one of my biggest strengths in athletic training is my curiosity, because I always want to keep learning, whether it's asking questions to someone I'm working with or researching on my own, just to figure out maybe a different way to treat something if what we've been doing hasn't been working, or if there are even new things that have come out that we haven't thought to try yet. But I think that curiosity, like questioning and thinking part of it, is one of my biggest strengths.
Brooke, can you give us a specific example of one time that curiosity, that going back and researching, helped you in the clinical setting?
There was a athlete I was working with that had shoulder problems, and we had been doing like the normal instability. What can we do to get this athlete back? But he's still having that uncertainty that I don't think this is strong. I don't. So we collectively as a group got together. We're looking up different things for him, found new exercises, and even the mental aspect of it, that's an important part of it too. That's what I was looking at, just to be able to reassure him, like, you are strong, this is working, and then pairing that with the physical exercise part of it.
And in what areas do you feel you need to improve upon?
In the clinical setting,
Yes.
I definitely need to improve on my confidence, because that leads to me either pulling away from or like reverting back to smaller things instead of getting in to do evals, and it leads me to question myself if I've done palpations right or if I've given a good differential diagnosis of something, which I've been working on by putting myself into more evals or, stopping players on the field if I see something, to be able to work on that strength, or work on that weakness to hopefully be able to turn it into more of a strength.
And do you have any desire to pursue any additional certifications?
I have been thinking about probably getting my CFCS, but I've also been looking into some of the Grastons or I haven't really decided on what I want to do yet, but most likely.
Brooke, could you please provide an example of how you have solved a problem in the past?
Oh boy. I mean, there have been a lot of problems I need to solve, but probably one of the ones that sticks out to me was when I was at a high school rotation, and we had an athlete that was injured, wouldn't come see us, could have been turning into something worse because he wasn't coming to see us, and eventually we got him to come in. He wasn't really responding to their athletic trainer, so they would send me as a student to go talk to him just to try to get things from him and see what was really going on, and to be able to relay that back to, the certified that were working there, of why, finding out why he wasn't coming in, if he was scared, if something was wrong. And then eventually, by sending me to talk to him, we got him to start coming in, and then prevented anything major from happening or worsening from what he already had going.
Okay. Please, where are we at? Oh, sorry. How would you describe the best boss you've had?
The best boss I've had?
Yep.
The best boss I've had has been someone I've been able to learn from even after I stopped working from them or with them. She was always someone that I could go to with athletic training questions, with life questions, and always had a different perspective on it to pull me back in from where I was going off the deep end. She was always able to get me back to focus and work through things with me, but then she would push me out and make me do it on my own. We would work on it together, but then she would say, okay, and then I would be on my own to figure out what we were really doing, and then to talk back with her and go over what we did right, what we did wrong. That was the best thing, to have that reassurance after even just a simple, evaluation or treatment or something major. We would always be able to go back and talk about it to discuss the good and the bad of it.
Okay. What about the worst boss you've ever had?
The worst boss I've ever had just made me feel small. There was simple situations that I knew that I could handle and I knew what I was doing, but they would look over my shoulder, or that feeling of breathing down your neck. I felt like they were always there just to question everything, and even sometimes talk over me to what I'm trying to communicate to somebody, but they would say the same thing. They would just respond to them better because they're bigger, they have more power. I always felt like I could never really grow because I was always almost in their shadow, I guess would be a way to say it.
Okay. Thank you.
Brooke, could you tell us where you see yourself in 2 years?
In 2 years, hopefully, I am graduated with a master's degree. Um, Finding employment. I would love to start in like a clinic or clinic outreach with a high school or university, and then hopefully build my way into semi-professional or professional sports, wherever that may be.
Brooke, tell us about example of how you've demonstrated leadership and initiative before.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
Can you give us an example of how you've demonstrated leadership and initiative?
I'm sure there have been plenty of instances, but none come to mind off the top of the head. Probably, again, I would have to go back to prior year at a high school. There were two students from colleges, and then the high school also had a sports medicine program itself. So we would sometimes be the one like having to look over the high school students, and they could learn from us, or we could just talk over things with them. But being there and getting to per se lead those students as well was always like a big part of it, because they were looking for someone to look to and figure out what to do, even if it was just like, how do we set up for a game or simple things like that. But I was able to, talk them through that or walk them through other things, and be able to explain maybe why I was taping somebody the way I was, or what I was doing that they were like, oh, what's that? And like, I could teach them new things that they didn't know yet.
Do you have any questions for us, Brooke?
I do. What is coverage like at Mount Union?
So right now we have 2 athletic trainers that work full time with the football team and the men's lacrosse team, and then as staffing is as currently we have 4 athletic trainers working in the zone coverage, and that just is we would have one person covering a baseball and a softball one day, and that might mean that the next day they're covering a women's lacrosse practice, but we do a good job of communicating between ourselves, and that way any athlete that walks in the door will be able to see an athletic trainer, and they'll carry their treatment on to the next person that they'll see.
Okay. And then I just have one other question. What are your expectations of me if I am hired for the job position?
We're looking for somebody to come in to be a good communicator and collaborator. It needs to be someone that can, like Jack just explained, our zone style of coverage is very dependent upon everyone working together and communicating clearly and thoroughly. So someone who's strong in documentation, someone that gets along, works well with others, someone that's a hard worker that's willing to pitch in where they're needed at that time, because it will change day to day. And just generally, it's fun to have somebody that's just fun to be around, somebody that we can enjoy our time at work with.
Okay. I think that was the last question I had for you guys.
Well, thank you so much for your time this morning, Brooke, and we will be in touch with you soon.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.